Hi guys, so today I'm ever so quickly going to talk about workers and farmers and their response to business during the Progressive Era. Today we magically have had that early dismissal time, so we're like, yeah, we're getting out 2 hours early, but that means my planning is cut short, so I have to do this in 24 minutes. So let's do it. Okay, so you can see workers and farmers have the biggest problems with monopolies at this point, that they're the ones that have the main beef with these big businesses. If they don't like them, and they're going to try to stick it to them, right? They're going to try to take them down. They're going to try to stand for what they want and try to get it done. And you're going to see it through labor unions and the Populist Party. So labor unions are still around today. You most likely see labor unions around today in the form of teachers' labor unions, just like this is a picture from last year when the Chicago teacher labor union had a strike because of pay, class size, and so many other things that were going on in schools. But labor unions on the whole in the modern era really are declining in membership and just declining in the opinion about labor unions. Good old 2020, what they think about them. Okay, so a union is a group of workers who seek to improve the economic and social well-being of its members through group action. You are going to see that as factories and industrialization is happening, that people are worried about their craft and worried about the fact that they've learned a skill or a trade and about that being protected. That you're a carpenter, you're a stone cutter, you're a mason, cabinet maker, whatever. You're worried about your specialized skill. And you're worried about being able to protect that. And then workers who are in factories are worried about receiving a wage and direction from an employer and being treated fairly and respectfully. You're going to see that they are going to be organizing unions that they can bargain with their employers. Both in Britain and the United States are going to view unionization as illegal. In the 1830s, those shoemakers in Lynn, Massachusetts, who weren't allowed to organize labor unions, are going to form a mutual benefit society, pretty much a labor union. And in 1834, they are going to be taking on a regional union of different trades, and then eventually they'll get taken to court over that because they're like, you can't unionize, that's illegal. So then in 1842, this is going to go to a Supreme Court case where they are going to, in the Supreme Court case, they're going to rule that labor unions are in fact not illegal and that workers could unionize and strike in order to enforce the different things that they need in order to fight for their rights, right? And you're going to see that union leaders are going to condemn employers, they're going to advocate for a labor theory of value, and they're going to want to try to have workers' rights protected. Workers at this time, they have a variety of issues that concern their work environment as well as threats that are posed to them. Workers at this time are working anywhere from 14 to 16 hours a day, which is way too many. They're going to be working 6 days a week. If you're an unskilled worker, which means you're working on an assembly line, you're working with some sort of machinery that takes like a day to train you and then you can go for it, you're making about $1.25 an hour. If you are a skilled worker, which means you have some sort of trade that you've learned, you're usually making, not $1.25 an hour, $1.25 a day. Skilled workers make $3 a day. Women and children are getting paid less, and you're going to see that the lower cost for owners in the labor market is just oversaturated, so workers are viewed as very replaceable, that you can get paid very little, it doesn't matter, because as soon as you leave, as soon as you get hurt, whatever, it doesn't matter, because guess what, we'll just bring in the new guy. The factory conditions themselves are going to be dark. They're going to have few windows. They're going to have really dangerous machinery. I know there is an account of a kid who's working on a sewing machine who is going to have to like stick his hand in at the right time, and if he doesn't get in the right time, a needle goes through his hand, and he would just wrap it up and keep going because he was worried about the fact that if he didn't keep working, he was going to lose his job and they just want to give it to another person, and he didn't want that. You're going to see that there's exposed machinery that's going to be very harmful to them. You're going to see that it's really tight packed in, that there's few breaks. Usually you only have an hour break in the day, and that means hour break, including just mental health breaks. That includes, sorry, I want to get some Germ-X and get some lotion. That includes mental health breaks. That includes vacation. That includes lunch. That includes the bathroom. So you only go to the bathroom one time a day. Dusty, dirty, you're going to see lung disease, amongst other diseases, are really common and running rampant through these industrial conditions. There are going to be lots of different physical problems that come from working in these environments, and you are going to see that the factories are also going to be mistreating the environment. For the environment, you're going to see that there is air and water pollution. of all varieties. Mines are known for contaminating land and water with heavy metals, and heavy metals are not good for anyone to be partaking in. So lots of bad things all around for the workers, for the environment, just happening all around. Okay, the railroad strike of 1877. This is going to start off on the B&O line, Baltimore and Ohio line, and it's going to spread westward to the competing railroads. It starts to erupt in Cleveland when the workers there are going to be paid 20% less. They have a 20% wage cut. And so they're just going to stop. They're going to stop working, and they're going to shut down the railroad line. Things get wild. Violence is going to erupt in Cleveland, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, among some other cities with railroad workers. The Cleveland workers are going to present their grievances to their boss. And the boss man, the superintendent, is going to say, nah, that has to go to the head of the company, Vanderbilt. That's his deal. He has to be the one to address those. And Vanderbilt is going to say, I have to pay you guys less because the economy's not doing so well. He's like, you just have to make sacrifices. It is what it is, as he drinks his champagne and eats his caviar. And the workers are like, nah, man, and they're going to keep striking. And as they keep striking, you're going to see that the American public, as well as the government, is going to start to fear violence and destruction. So the mayor of Cleveland is going to call up 100 to 200 militiamen. They're not entirely sure of how many people came, and they're going to have armed local patrolmen, so like police officers. There's a really tense atmosphere with a lot of rumors spreading around about what's going on, and the workers generally remain orderly. And actually, the worker organizers have the local saloon keepers remain closed so that alcohol doesn't come into the mix and make things more violent. So actually, it remains quite peaceful, and it's generally respected by the community. However, the strike is going to have a huge impact on passenger and mail services on the train. It delays the train, and freight services are going to halt for whatever. In total, it was like 2.5, 3 months that the strike was happening. So businesses had to close for lack of supplies, shipping facilities, and you're going to see eventually that refusing to accept the company offers, the men then eventually are going to agree to compensation that's going to restore the wage cuts, that 20% that have been cut, and it improves compensation for layovers as well as other downtime. But you're going to see that Vanderbilt then is going to refuse to the terms. Like the superintendent's like, yeah, dog, you got it. And then Vanderbilt's like, no, you don't have it. And the workers are going to threaten another strike, but it doesn't happen. I'll bark no action. Okay, the Greenback Labor Party is this wonderful guy, is our main one of it, Peter Cooper. So this is going to be a campaign largely by people with agrarian or farm and rural interests. They are going to want to maintain the amount of paper money in circulation. This started during the Civil War, and really it helps to increase farming prices and the price they're making off of their crops. And people are going to be fighting back against it. But you're going to see that in the West, they're going to continue fighting for it. It starts to polarize the nation during a economic depression in 1873 that is going to be over the issue of money. And you're going to see that the Greenback Party is going to be able to pass some different pieces of legislation that support their ideas, but ultimately they're not able to have widespread success, and they don't really gain a lot of traction. But you see farmers coming together trying to make some change happen, and you see that again with Granger Law. So in 1867, the National Grange of the Patrons of Husbandry is going to be a group of farmers that are going to come together to increase the political and economic power of farmers. They're going to oppose corrupt business practices and monopolies, and they're going to support relief for debtors. Technically not a political party, but they're going to be local granges that are going to lead to the creation of a number of different political parties that support their ideas. And they're eventually going to lead into the Progressive Party. So kind of all these different pieces coming together in order to make the Progressive Party for later. That's in the early 1900s. The Grange Laws are going to be a series of laws then that are going to be passed that help to support our farmers, things like regulating grain elevators and railroad freight rates and rebates and different things in order to help support the farmers and trying to cut down on the abuses that the railroad companies are doing of farmers at this particular point in time, trying to regulate business and the economy in the West. This is a political cartoon Battle Grange movement, as you can see, our little people that are lining down the railroad as the monopolies coming for them is just going to run them over and take advantage of them. And there's the great there's a Grange farmer standing up for them. I'm trying to rush here. Sorry. Okay, so then we have the Knights of Labor. The Knights of Labor are going to peak in membership in 1886, and they're going to grow because of the open membership policy. They allow both skilled and unskilled workers within there. You're going to see that they also have membership of women, immigrants, and African Americans. And they're going to grow a lot within cities. They are going to be led by Terrence Powderly. They're all about the Greenback Party. They're all in support of that. And you are going to see that they are going to advocate for temperance. They're going to advocate for both skilled and unskilled workers and the things that they want. But ultimately, they are going to have too many different goals and not enough focus that is just going to kind of hold them down from being able to actually have too much achieved. Plus, they are against the idea of strikes. And strikes are the thing that gets the most national attention at this point and the most attention from businesses. That being against strikes means that they just sort of like talk really loudly and no one says anything. You're like, well, you tried. You wanted things. Okay. Anarchism and the connection to labor. So anarchism is the idea of a stateless society achieved by revolutionary means. And you're going to see anarchism is the whole idea of like, hey, it's not like the purge would happen without government. It's the idea that human beings are just innately good and that it'd be okay if we didn't have government because we're just innately awesome. But you're going to see that in the public eye and in government, anarchism and people who have anarchist ties are going to be tied into labor unions. And so labor unions are going to have this really long, harried history trying to kind of separate themselves out. They're not like, we're not anti-government. We're just like wanting some change for ourselves. But anarchists are going to be advocating for labor unions because they're like, yeah, down with the man. So this big connection is going to come during the Haymarket Square bombing or strike or riot, depending on where you look that up and where you get the information from. Words have a lot of power, so you always have to think about the word choice that you have. And it really connotates to the American public what the feeling is behind it and whether it's a riot or a strike or just like bombing. So anyways, you're going to see that 1886, there's going to be a protest at the McCormick Reaper factory in Chicago. There is going to be some violence that's going to break out between the workers and the people who are trying to break up the strike, police officers. And there is going to be a bomb that goes off in the crowd. They say that it's anarchists in the crowd that throw the bomb into the crowd, but they're not entirely sure where it came from. They think that it might have been the employers who were trying to break up the strike. Although the bomb is going to disperse the crowd, it's going to lead to mass arrests and a lot of court proceedings in order to try to break down the labor union. And so you see that tie of labor unions and anarchism. Okay, so more about the Haymarket Square riot / strike and all about it. So you're going to see that May 3rd, like I already said, police are intervening, bomb goes off, they're not sure where it came from, McCormick Reaper factory, they're trying to get an 8-hour workday, that's what they're protesting for, and that bomb gets thrown into the crowd, and you're going to see 30 to 40 people, they're unsure how many, will be injured, and 4 to 8 will be dead. You're going to see that they're going to pull together the people who made this happen are anarchists, and they are going to convict them on the grounds of murder, and that they are going to go through trial and that they are going to be hanged. And so you're going to see this conflict between workers and bosses. Okay. Closed shop, super easy. A closed shop is a form of union security agreement where the employer agrees to hire only union members. So in order to work there, you have to join the union. Lehigh used to be like this, like Lehigh Cement Company, like right down the road, like that direction in Union Bridge, that if you worked on the yard, you had to join the union. Otherwise, they wouldn't hire you. You couldn't have the job. And that's to prevent people who would be scabs, people who would continue working and not follow what the labor union wants, because if you all don't stand together on the issue, if you all don't strike, if you all don't do this thing, and there's people who are just kind of doing what they want and make it weaker, then the union can't get anything achieved because your protests mean nothing because anyone's just doing exactly what they want all the time. Okay, So the American Federation of Labor. So we talked about the Knights of Labor. This is kind of the opposite side to it of the American Federation of Labor. So after Haymarket, the Knights of Labor are going to join, some of them are going to join together with the American Federation of Labor, who is led by this beautiful man, Samuel Gompers. Samuel Gompers is going to be a Dutch Jewish cigar maker, fun fact. And he is going to demand that workers earn a greater share of the corporate profit, and he is all about striking. He's all about getting things done, and he is going to be all about creating labor unions. He's going to want labor unions to be limited to workers that have crafts or skills, and that they are going to be broken down by those crafts or skills all across the nation. They're going to have local membership, that they are going to then try to protect their local interests and goals, and that they're going to be advocating for things that directly benefit the worker, better wages, hours, and working conditions, and the like. You're going to see that it's very exclusionary, that people who are unskilled are not going to be allowed to join, but the American Federation of Labor is going to have much more success. They're still around today, and that you're going to see that they're broken down into different types of workers, like electricians, like plumbers, things of that variety, rather than just like everyone in one huge Mod Podge like the Knights of Labor was. Okay, so analysis questions. I want you to consider the statement. Did the government have an obligation to step in and help labor? Why or why not? I want you to tell me how would Adam Smith, our laissez-faire economist, our laissez-fairness economist, think about this, that lack of government intervention, and what would he think about that? Samuel Gompers, our American Federation of Labor president, what would he have to say about that? What is more dangerous, unfettered or unchecked labor or unfettered business? So which one of those should be put in balance, and why do you think that? Okay, so the Populist Party. This is a political cartoon. You might see it at a later date, so I would definitely take a minute, pause this video, really kind of break it down, see what it means, because you might see it later. Okay, so moving on, because time is of the essence. I have 7 minutes. Oh my gosh. So the Farm Alliance. It's going to be an organization that unites workers statewide and at a regional level. The policy goals are going to be be focusing on readily available farm credits and federal regulation of the railroads. So this is kind of like the Granger movement, just increased a little bit. They're going to start off in Texas, and they are going to expand outward from there. They're going to be supporting farm products and farmers in a variety of ways, and they're going to start to cooperate with the Knights of Labor. So you're seeing that farmers and workers are coming together, realizing the fact that they both hate monopolies, and that if they come together, they can make some things happen. Okay, so then we have the Populist Party. Sorry, eating your Tums because I got wicked heartburn. Pregnancy is wild, man. Okay, so Populist Party, also known as the People's Party, is going to support the concerns of the ordinary people. They're going to appeal to your average everyday person. That they're going to try to appeal to your farmers and to your workers, and that they are going to try to make change happen on an average person's level. You're going to see that the Farmers Alliance in Kansas is going to join together with the Knights of Labor. They officially make the People's Party in Kansas, and will spread nationally. They're going to be fighting for things like breaking up monopolies, trying to end poverty and injustices. They want public ownership of railroads and telegraph systems, things that benefit the national public at large. They're going to want a federal income tax on the highest income. They're going to want looser monetary policy, kind of like the Greenback Party, but they're going to want to support silver instead of greenback. They are going to be advocating for prohibition because that's a popular thing at this point. They're going to be advocating for women's suffrage. And so they're going to be advocating for some more liberal and cutting edge ideas at this particular moment in history. So this is all going to be founded then on the Omaha platform. That's what the populists believe in. So plank 1, initiatives and referendums. Initiatives means you get to start a law yourself, get enough signatures, gets to then go to the legislature, they vote on it from there. Referendums means you get to call back something that you don't agree with that's been passed. They're going to want direct popular election of the U.S. Senator rather than it being a weird electoral system like it is for the president. They want unlimited coinage of silver. This is going to be help supporting your average man within the economy. They want a graduated income tax that if you're making more money, you should have to pay more money. They want farm loans and warehouses. They want an 8-hour workday for industrial workers. They're going to want the public ownership of railroads. in the telephone system. And this is going to be the platform in the 1892 election. For president, running for president will be James Weaver on the populist candidate, and he is going to actually gain some votes, but he isn't going to gain wide enough popularity to win, but he does become a pretty intense third-party candidate. Okay, so our new national realities. Then we get to the election of 1896. The populists see, hey, this is our moment again, but they realize the fact that, hey, in order for us to actually have someone who might be in office, we had to support a more popular party, and that more popular party is going to be the Democrats, and that Democrat is going to be William Jennings Bryan. That is this guy right here. William Jennings Bryan is like, hey, I agree with so many things you have to say, and I'm going to platform on them with you. And so he is going to give a very famous speech called Cross of Gold, where he's going to talk about the fact that your farmers and your workers are crucified upon a cross of gold, and that they're going to be the ones on which the monopolists and the business owners are building the backs of their wealth and riches off of, and that is just not the case. That just is not how it should be. And so he's going to be blending together all these different things of what the Democrats and the Populist Party believes, and he is going to campaign all over the United States. He has a whistle stop campaign, which is the first one to ever happen, where he goes all across the United States telling people what he wants to do and trying to explain it. And ultimately he is going to lose, but it is a really close election. If you look there, 51 to 47%, and you're going to see that McKinley ultimately is going to win, but McKinley is going to be supported by our monopolists, but joke's on them, because his vice president is going to be my favorite man, Teddy Roosevelt, and Teddy Roosevelt is very much a progressivist, and that is going to become an issue for later. Oh my gosh, I have 2 minutes. Okay, so analysis questions. Now I want to explain how the populists illustrate the impact of industrialization, of like what's going on with industrialization, of who it's hurting, who it's harming, and what problems they have, and then I want you to compare and contrast the goals and purpose of labor unions and the Guild Aids with the Populist Party.